Hello and welcome to GS Coins, where we talk about old coins, rare coins, and everything you need to know about coin collecting. In today's video, we're going to look at a very interesting coin, the 1967 Australian 10-cent coin. Now, this coin might not look rare at first, but it's actually a very important part of Australia's coin history. If you have one of these coins in good condition, it could be worth more than you think. So make sure to watch this video until the end as we go through the coin's background, design, and how much it's worth in today's market. Let's begin with some history. In 1966, Australia made a big change. The country switched from the old currency system, pounds, shillings, and pence, to a new decimal system, which uses dollars and cents like we do today. This was one of the biggest changes in the country's financial history, and it meant that many new coins had to be made. The 10-cent coin was one of these new coins. It was introduced in 1966, and the following year, in 1967, the second batch was produced. That year, the Royal Australian Mint made about 26.6 million of these 10-cent coins. That's a lot of coins, so it's not considered rare in terms of how many were made. But remember, most of those coins were used every day. People carried them in their pockets, used them to buy things, and over time, the coins got scratched, worn out, or lost. That's why finding a 1967 10-cent coin in very good condition is harder today than it was back then. A native Australian bird known for its long, decorative tail feathers and its amazing ability to copy sounds from other animals, and even machines. The design was created by Stuart Devlin, who was one of Australia's top coin designers. His work on Australian coins is highly respected, and the lyrebird is a great example of his skill. The coin is made of copper nickel, which is a mix of copper and nickel. It weighs 5.65 grams and has a diameter of 23.60 millimeters. The edges are milled, which means they have small ridges that go all the way around the coin. So now that we know about the design and the history, let's talk about the coin's value today. If your 1967 10-cent coin is heavily used, meaning it has scratches, worn-down features, and looks old, then it's probably only worth its face value, that's just 10 cents. But if your coin is in good condition, meaning the details are still sharp, the surface is still shiny, and there are no big scratches or damage, then it could be worth more to collectors. In 2025, here is the current market value for the 1967 Australian 10-cent coin. A coin in circulated condition, worn worth only 100 Australian dollars, face. Here are some quick tips. Always look for coins with clear details, the clearer the design, the better. Store your coin in a protective sleeve or coin album to prevent damage. Consider having your coin graded by a professional service if it looks perfect. Graded coins usually sell for higher prices. Check online marketplaces like eBay to see how much other people are paying for the same coin in similar condition. Even though the 1967 10-cent coin is not rare by how many were made, it's still a great coin to collect. It's part of Australia's early decimal currency history, it has a beautiful design, and if you have one in great shape, it could be worth much more than 10 cents. Next up, the 1980 Australian 10-cent coin. At first glance, it may look like just another small coin in your change jar. But in reality, it represents decades of history, craftsmanship, and collector interest. If you've ever found one of these coins and wondered if it's worth anything today, this video will answer all your questions. So, let's get started. Let's begin with some background. Australia moved to the decimal currency system on the 14th of February 1966. This was a major event in Australian history, replacing the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence with dollars and cents. Along with this change, a new set of coins was introduced, the 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, 20 cent, and 50 cent coins. The 10-cent coin was part of that very first decimal set. The 1980 version, which we're discussing today, came 14 years after decimalization. Even though the design of the coin remained the same, the 1980 issue has its own story, its own mintage numbers, and its own place in numismatic interest. In 1980, the Royal Australian Mint produced over 68.2 million 10-cent coins. That's a big number, so this coin is not considered rare in terms of how many were made. However, what makes some 1980 10-cent coins special today is their condition, any errors, and how well they have been preserved over the years. Let's take a closer look at the design. The obverse side, or the front of the coin, features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This portrait was created by Arnold Machin, a famous British sculptor. His design shows the Queen wearing a royal tiara and was used on Australian coins from 1966 until 1984. It's one of the most recognizable and long-lasting portraits used on Australian currency. The reverse side, or the back of the coin, displays a beautiful and detailed image of the superb lyrebird, one of Australia's most iconic and fascinating native birds. Known for its spectacular tail feathers and incredible ability to mimic sounds, the lyrebird was chosen to symbolize the beauty of Australian wildlife. The designer of this side of the coin was Stuart Devlin, who was also responsible for many other Australian coin designs. His work on the 10-cent coin is highly respected and has remained unchanged for decades because of its beauty and simplicity. The 1980 10-cent coin is made of copper nickel, an alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 5.65 grams, has a diameter of 23.60 millimeters, and features a milled edge, meaning it has small ridges around the edge for grip and durability. Now, let's talk about condition and value. This is where things get interesting. Most 1980 10-cent coins were used in everyday transactions. They were in people's wallets, passed through shops, dropped in coin jars, and used in vending machines. As a result, the majority of these coins show signs of wear and tear, scratches, dull surfaces, and worn-down designs. If your coin is heavily circulated or damaged, it's still worth 10 cents, just its face value. However, if you have a coin in better condition, the value increases. A 1980 10-cent coin in fine to very fine condition, where details are clear and the coin still looks presentable, can be worth around $100 to $200 AUD. In extremely fine condition, where the coin has very light wear and still shows sharp features, it can be worth $300 to $500 AUD. A coin in uncirculated condition, meaning it was never used and still has its full original shine, can fetch $500 to $1,000 AUD. If your coin has been professionally graded and receives a high grade such as MS65 or MS66, it could be worth $1,500, $2,000, or even more, especially to serious collectors. Now, let's talk about mint errors, a very exciting part of coin collecting. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process, and they are often much more valuable than normal coins. While 1980 is not known for a large number of errors, mistakes can happen in any year. Here are some types of errors to look out for. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing. Double strikes, where the coin was stamped more than once. Die cracks, which appear as raised lines on the surface. Clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin is missing from the edge. Rotated dies, where the front and back of the coin don't align properly. A coin with a clear and unusual mint error can be worth $50, $100, or sometimes even more, depending on how rare and visible the error is. So how do you check your coin? Here are some tips. Examine the coin under a bright light. Look for clear details on the Queen's portrait and the lyrebird. Compare your coin to a photo of an uncirculated version. This helps you spot wear and missing features. Do not clean your coin. Cleaning can actually reduce the value. Collectors prefer coins in original condition. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe to look for small mint errors or features. Store your coin safely. Use a plastic coin holder or album to prevent scratches and exposure to air and moisture. Final thoughts. The 1980 Australian 10-cent coin may not be rare, but it is still a valuable part of Australian history. With over 40 years in circulation, finding one in top condition is not as easy as it might seem. And if you're lucky enough to discover one with a mint error or near-perfect shine, it could be worth many times its original value. Next up, the 2011 Australian 10-cent coin. We'll take a close look at its history, the design, mintage numbers, what makes it special, and most importantly, how much it's worth today in 2025 if you have one in your collection or your change jar. Let's begin. Introduction to the 10-cent coin. The Australian 10-cent coin was first introduced in 1966, when Australia switched from pounds and shillings to decimal currency. Since then, the design has mostly stayed the same, making it one of the most familiar coins in the country. Even though it's a common coin in circulation, each year of issue has its own mintage numbers, possible errors, and value depending on the condition. And the 2011 version is no different. 2011 coin history and mintage. In 2011, the Royal Australian Mint produced approximately 12.1 million 10-cent coins for circulation. This is considered a fairly low mintage compared to other years like 1980 or 2006, which had tens of millions more coins produced. So, while the 2011 10-cent coin is not extremely rare, it's also not as common as many other dates, and that makes it more interesting to collectors. Coin design. Let's talk about the design of the 2011 10-cent coin. On the obverse side, the front, you'll see a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by artist Ian Rank Broadley. This version of the Queen's portrait was used from 1999 to 2015. It shows more detail and a realistic image compared to earlier versions. On the reverse side, the back, we have the famous image of the superb lyrebird, designed by Stuart Devlin. The lyrebird has long, flowing tail feathers and stands in a proud pose. It's a symbol of Australian nature and a beautiful piece of coin art. The coin is made of copper-nickel, which is 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 5.65 grams, has a diameter of 23.60 millimeters, and has a milled edge with small ridges around the side. Coin condition and value. Now, let's get to the big question. How much is the 2011 Australian 10-cent coin worth today? Well, it all depends on the condition of your coin. Let's break it down. If your coin is heavily circulated, meaning it has lots of scratches, dull color, and worn-out details, then it's worth just 10 cents, its face value. If your coin is in good condition, with only light wear and all the details still visible, it might be worth $100 to $200 Australian dollars to collectors. If your coin is in uncirculated condition, meaning it was never used and still looks brand new with full shine, it can be worth $300 to $600 AUD. If your coin is in mint state and has been professionally graded, it could be worth $1,000 to $2,500 Australian dollars or more, especially if the grade is MS65 or higher. Never clean your coin. Cleaning damages the surface and lowers the value. Store your coin in a soft plastic coin flip, album, or capsule to protect it from damage. Final thoughts. So, what have we learned today? The 2011 Australian 10-cent coin is a small but interesting coin. It has a low mintage of just over 12 million. A beautiful and unchanged lyrebird design. A detailed portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Ian Rank Broadley. Value that depends heavily on condition. Potential for higher value if it's uncirculated or has a mint error. Next up, the 2017 Australian 10-cent coin. While it might seem like just a small silver piece you find in everyday change, this coin carries more history, design detail, and collector potential than most people realize. Whether you're a beginner collector, a numismatics enthusiast, or someone who just wants to know what their spare change is worth, this video is for you. So let's dive into everything you need to know about this modern coin with classic appeal. Let's start with the basics. The 10-cent coin has been part of the Australian currency system since the country transitioned to decimal currency on the 14th of February 1966. That was the day Australia moved away from the pounds, shillings, and pence of its colonial past and embraced a simpler, modern currency structure, cents and dollars. Since that day, the 10-cent coin has remained remarkably consistent in terms of its physical features and design. So, what does the 2017 10-cent coin look like? On the reverse side, which most people call the tails side, we see the magnificent superb lyrebird, a bird native to Australia and famous for its long, ornate tail feathers. The lyrebird is a symbol of Australian identity and wildlife, and it's no surprise that it was chosen for this coin way back in 1966. The design was created by Stuart Devlin, one of Australia's most celebrated coin designers, who was later appointed goldsmith and jeweler to Queen Elizabeth II. His work is incredibly detailed. Just look closely and you'll see the fine etching of the lyrebird's tail, its claws, and even the movement in its feathers. Now flip the coin over to the obverse side, that's the head side, and you'll find the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Ian Rank Broadley. This portrait was first introduced in 1999 and it remained in use on Australian coins until around 2018. Rank Broadley's depiction of the Queen is known for its realism and detail, with the Queen facing to the right, wearing the George IV state diadem. His design was intentionally more lifelike and less stylized than earlier versions, and for nearly 2 decades it was the image that Australians saw daily on their coins. In terms of specifications, the 2017 10-cent coin is made from copper nickel, which is 75% copper and 25% nickel. It gives the coin its silvery appearance while offering durability and corrosion resistance. The coin weighs 5.65 grams, has a diameter of 23.60 millimeters, and features a reeded edge, which helps with anti-counterfeiting and makes it easy to distinguish by touch. The thickness is 2.00 millimeters, and like other 10-cent pieces, it has no mint mark unless it was part of a special set. Now, let's get into mintage figures, and here's where things start to get interesting for collectors. In 2017, the Royal Australian Mint produced approximately 15.9 million 10-cent coins for circulation. While that might sound like a huge number, it's actually on the lower end compared to other years. For example, in 2006, over 72 million 10-cent coins were struck, and in 1980, there were about 68 million. So by comparison, 2017 saw relatively fewer coins enter circulation, making this year more desirable, especially in high-grade condition. So, how much is a 2017 10-cent coin worth today? Let's break it down by condition. A circulated coin, which has been used in everyday transactions and shows some wear, is generally worth its face value, 10 cents. A coin in very fine condition, showing light wear with clear details, may be worth 50 cents to $1 AUD. In extremely fine condition, with only very minor wear and full design visibility, you're looking at $1 to $2 AUD. An uncirculated coin, never used, no signs of handling, and retaining its mint shine, can be worth $3 to $5 AUD. If you're lucky enough to have a coin that has been professionally graded by companies like PCGS or NGC and it's in mint state, MS, 65 or higher, the value can increase to $8 to 25 Australian dollars. Depending on the market and demand. Now let's talk about something that really gets collectors excited, mint errors. These are mistakes that happen during the minting process, and while they're rare, they can be worth a lot more than regular coins. So far, no major known varieties of errors have been officially linked to the 2017 10-cent coin, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. Always keep an eye out for the following types of errors. Off-center strikes, where the design is shifted away from the center. Die cracks or cuds, which are raised metal blobs caused by damage to the minting die. Clipped planchets, where a part of the coin is missing. Double strikes, where the coin is struck more than once in the press. Depending on the type and severity of the error, some of these coins can sell for $20, $50, or even over $100 AUD. If you think you've found one, it's a good idea to get it checked by a numismatic expert or have it professionally graded. Now, how do you take care of your 2017 coins? Storage is critical. Always store your coins in acid-free holders or coin flips. For higher value coins, use capsules to avoid scratches. Keep them in a cool, dry place, far away from humidity, direct sunlight, or harsh chemicals. And most importantly, never clean your coins, as cleaning can strip away the original surfaces and drastically reduce their value. To wrap things up, the 2017 Australian 10-cent coin may not be the oldest or rarest coin in the decimal series, but it's definitely worth collecting. With its beautiful and iconic design, relatively low mintage, and solid potential in high grades or rarer varieties, it's a coin that could surprise you. Plus, it's a perfect addition to any year-based collection or decimal currency set. So, next time you check your change, don't overlook those 10-cent pieces. You never know, that little coin might be worth more than just 10 cents. Thanks for joining me here on GS Coins. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2017 10-cent coin, please hit the like button, subscribe for more coin insights, and leave a comment if you found one in great condition or with a rare error. I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and as always, happy collecting.